The Jays just wrapped up their first game against the Baltimore Orioles, and the offensive struggles continued. And it's been widely known that the Jays are in the market for a right-handed hitting outfielder that absolutely mashes left-handed pitching. So I'll break down a couple of targets and much more on this episode of Jays Digest. What's up, Jays fans? I'm your host, Peter Vryonis, alongside host Nick Gosse, and welcome. This is deadline day. This is what we work for. Deadline is just a few hours away, and we are counting down the minutes, waiting for Jays to make some moves here. They need some offensive help. Their bullpen is pretty much set. Their starting rotation is pretty much set, but they need some help in that lineup. They need some thunder in the middle, some run-producing thump, and they just don't have it right now. They wrapped up their first game against the Baltimore Orioles, and the offense is just nowhere to be found, Nick. So they need some help, and they need it fast.
Yeah, last night was a pretty disastrous game. But, before we get into the video, thank you guys again for letting us hit 7,500 subscribers. We're on the road to 8,000 now. But, Peter, there's tons of reports that are coming out. And like you said, it's deadline day. Some moves are going to be happening throughout the day. And, again, Bo Bichette's injury is still looming up in the air, and the Jays just need to make a move, and they need another hitter, especially following, like you mentioned, last night's loss. So let's just get into a couple reports, and this was the big one that was tweeted last night there, saying, Mariners outfielder Teoscar Hernandez is drawing interest from half a dozen teams, and a trade is increasingly likely before 6 p.m. Phillies, Blue Jays, Giants are among clubs that have been involved. Now, Peter, we've touched on Teoscar Hernandez a few times, in our speculation, but this is more of a report that the Jays are linked to him. What are your thoughts on this? I'm all for it. His name is heating up. The Mariners traded Paul Sewald yesterday. They are sellers, it seems, or at least retoolers to a degree. I'm all for it, especially now that we need some more offense and someone who can mash left-handed pitching.
Just for the vibes alone, I would
Yeah.
welcome back Teoscar Hernandez with open arms. But in all seriousness, though, the optics of this potential trade look pretty bad for both general managers. Ross Atkins got rid of Teoscar Hernandez in exchange for Eric Swanson, a guy who goes about his business with no nonsense and gets the job done. And Jerry DiPoto, the Mariners GM, wanted some more hitting, and now they find themselves at the deadline selling their assets, selling their expiring assets, and I feel like it wouldn't get done just for the simple fact that both GMs would look stupid in the whole ordeal. However, the Jays do need someone like Teoscar Hernandez. It doesn't have to be Teoscar Hernandez, but someone that's got immense power that can drive in runs, and we know what he can do. He's a two-time Silver Slugger winner. He would be an immediate addition that would bolster this lineup right now. And they need someone, whether it's him, whether it's Tommy Pham, whether it's some other names that we've mentioned in past videos. They need some thump because it's clearly not there, and they got to start hitting and giving this pitching staff some of the support that they deserve.
Yeah, it would be a pretty, hilarious trade. And ultimately, it was a good trade by Ross Atkins, for sure. And I think he comes out the winner at the end of the day. But just, trading back would be, interesting and silly in one way, but it would also make some sense for the reasons you mentioned, as well as clubhouse, familiar with the front office. Who knows if we'd extend him? Probably not, because that was the whole reason we traded him in the first place. But a little rental for the vibes with everyone returning, Hyun-Jin Ryu, Chad Green, that would be pretty electric in Rogers Center there. And looking at his stats, we know what Teoscar Hernandez can do. He's struggling this year, striking out more than he ever has. And again, he's not having the best year, but, who knows what it'll take to get him. I saw a couple tweets there saying trade Adam Macko for Teoscar Hernandez straight up, or trade Eric Swanson because of our bullpen depth for Teoscar, which I don't think the Jays would ever do. But regardless, it would be pretty funny. But another couple reports here are surfacing as well saying, the Jays are interested in Tommy Pham. They're among two teams, among others as well, the two most prominent teams that are still in. And Peter, we've touched on Tommy Pham a ton. It is deadline day, so let's touch on him some more a little bit here now. He seems to be maybe the most likely option because the price tag, one would assume, would be a little bit lesser than Teoscar Hernandez, but who knows at this point? Hernandez hasn't been playing very well, but what are your thoughts on, again, a Tommy Pham potential reunion? We'll know in a few hours if it, comes to fruition, but his name just keeps on heating up within the Toronto Blue Jays.
Tommy Pham would definitely cost a lot less than Teoscar Hernandez because the track record isn't the same.
And
He's
power.
had some very good years, but he's had some down years as well. And yes, you say power, he hits the ball very hard, but he's not necessarily a home run hitter like Teoscar
Yeah, I mean
Hernandez is.
Teoscar, yeah.
So yeah. That's why Teoscar would be the much more attractive trade chip, especially in this market that is not flooded with big time bats. So you're gonna have to pay a premium if you do want Teoscar Hernandez. And the Jays, have shown the willingness to go out and pay that premium. You look at the package that they gave up for an expiring relief pitcher in Jordan Hicks. Although he is the best one on the market, you still gave up a couple of top prospects in your system to go ahead and get that deal done. I expect nothing less if you go out and get Teoscar Hernandez. The only reason that Tommy Pham might be a more attractive trade chip to the Blue Jays with the uncertainty of the Bo Bichette injury, maybe they don't want to go fully all in, and they just need some immediate help until Bo Bichette is fully back and ready to contribute in the lineup.
Yeah, and again, it's going to be very, very interesting to see just because of, all the different variables that are going on among, the Bo Bichette injury, the market just being very, very, I would say the market this year is weird compared to other years in the sense of there's no, guaranteed big blockbuster trades like there was even just last year, years before. Of course, 2015 we always bring up with huge names. And I think if those names were available for the Blue Jays to get, they would go out and try to get them. It's just not really as feasible this year because players that are kind of the mid-tier are costing ridiculous packages, as we've seen, from other teams there. But this is another report. The reports just keep on flowing for the Blue Jays. And usually when this many reports come out, you'd suspect that the Blue Jays are, it might not be Tommy Pham, it might not be Teoscar Hernandez, but they're going to make a trade. And this is Tommy Pham again, linked from Joel Sherman. He's a New York writer there. And it's just very, very interesting to see what the Blue Jays are going to do. They don't, it doesn't seem like they're going to go for a starting pitcher. They got the bullpen covered. At this point, there's a pretty clear need, and it is a left or right-handed, hitter who mashes lefties as well as a potential infield replacement depending on Bo Bichette's, health going forward. And who knows how much they'll reveal about that. But I don't know. Very, very interesting. And I think Tommy Pham, would be a cheaper option, like you said, than Teoscar because Teoscar Hernandez would be a power. A guy, has hit 40 home runs in the past, and he's someone that we need in the middle of the order, I think, which is, a bit ironic considering we traded him not only just a few months ago. Almost 40 home runs.
Now, Tommy Pham would definitely be someone that would fit. Literally anyone that can put the bat on the ball and hit it over the fence would be a fit on this Blue Jays lineup, the way that they've been performing lately. But it all depends, again, on Bo Bichette's uncertainty, on his status. What if the Blue Jays have to shift their resources over to a Tim Anderson trade now because they don't have the assets to get both? They can't get an outfielder and a shortstop, so they got to go out and get one. And if Bo is out for an extended period of time, and I'm talking 2-3 weeks, you need someone to play shortstop every day, and you're probably going to have to pay a premium because other GMs know that you need a shortstop. And you're going to have to overpay for Tim Anderson, so you might not be able to allocate those resources towards a Tommy Pham or a Teoscar Hernandez. So it's very interesting, and it all depends on that one player. That's what happens when you're a superstar in professional sports. A lot of things depend on your status. So we're going to have to wait and see what happens with Bo Bichette, but I think the Jays are not only keying in on an outfielder right now, but it's got to be some Tim Anderson talk and a lot more middle infielders as well with the uncertainty with Bo.
Yeah, and as of the time of recording, we're not 100% sure what's happening with the Bo Bichette injury, and I don't know if the Blue Jays will even reveal too much because that would give other teams leverage and maybe the ability to charge the Jays more. So I assume that they're just gonna play it pretty easy, and maybe just say discomfort, and then once the deadline is up, maybe reveal and show their true hand based on those moves. But like you said, Teoscar's a guy that is a power hitter, someone we need in the lineup, regardless. The defense, more of a platoon guy, as you've mentioned in the past. We don't need him to play every single day. We have Dalton Varsho, and I misspoke earlier saying 40 home runs, almost 40 home runs. We know he has 40 home run power, but he would be a guy I'd love to have back, and wouldn't that just be absolutely something else to withhold if we got him? But again, it might be unlikely simply because of the antics of the front offices there. But, the Jays are trying to win. Maybe they don't care about that. They go and throw a decent prospect at him and get the job done. But that'll wrap it up. It's going to be a wild day, so stay tuned for tons of content. Expect multiple videos, a live stream later tonight, so we'll see you guys later.